As we get closer to Drupa, P. Sajith, the managing director of Bindwel, visited the PrintWeek Studio to discuss the company's three-pronged approach in Dusseldorf, the manufacturing process at the Bengaluru factory, and the key trends in Indian book publishing.
So welcome to the PrintWeek Studio. We have a very special guest today, P. Sajith. Welcome, sir. And for those of you who know him, know of him as in a way, the backbone of the bookbinding space in the Indian publishing and book printing industry in India and now overseas. He's a child of Kochi. He's a student from Warangal. He's a huge fan of literature, be it Marquez, be it Bashir, be it M.T. Vasudevan Nair. The trivia about him, which very few know, is that he is a film producer. He produced the critically acclaimed Hindi film called Baromas, which is based on a Marathi novel about the central Maharashtra farming crisis, penned by an award-winning writer called Sadanand Deshmukh. So congratulations for that. He's also somebody who's viral on the music scene in Kerala for his songs in Malayalam. He believes in book riyas as well as music riyas. And above all, what is sort of most fascinating about Sajith is that he collects intelligent people around him all the time. So he's a bit like Galileo, who used to write these long letters to Kepler. He does that, and so that's how he sort of steals ideas from other people and so on. So welcome, sir. Thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you.
One of the interesting things, so as you know, we are in the midst of our May anniversary issue, and for us, it's one of the big issues because of the Power 100. And usually when we ask people this question, who is one person in the industry you admire, traditionally the names we've been getting are Sanat Bhai, Sanat Shah of Manugraph, Pranav Parekh of Technova, Ramesh Kejriwal, Narendra, etc. This time, you've been mentioned twice. Once by a fairly big book printer and publisher from Meerut, and the other from an equally big publishing printer from Jhansi. So kudos on that. I mean, you've obviously done a lot. For me, one of the reasons why, I've learned a lot from you in addition to the friendship is how you opened my eyes to a lot of things that have been happening on the ground in the book factory space, specifically Chhattisgarh, Telangana. So again, if you can just, for the benefit of our viewers, just encapsulate what Bindwel has been doing quietly, below the radar in some of these states, and what you've done in terms of adding more muscle to, the book space in our country.
I think we are in the business of helping books made cost effectively. India is the largest consumer of books. If you look at government textbooks alone are close to 3 billion per annum. And cost has been a major concern basically because most of these books are given away at subsidized pricing or free of cost. So unless you have an ecosystem built which has machines, substrates, the management, the people, everything, working around it in order to make books produced most cost effectively. Despite the fact that government is spending money in education,
sure,
we'll still have a huge deficit when it comes to printing the required number of books and delivering them. It's also not easy to fulfill them, getting it into all small centers and then distribute. So most of the states, I think, though we started way back in 92, 93, it was in 97 in Maharashtra we realized that, before our times, books never used to come on time. Always you've seen reports in newspapers saying that, this time the books got delayed by 1 month or 2 months, and sometimes closer to the exams the books are delayed. So from the beginning, our focus has been education, though we supply machines to print the books I love to read. Education has been the biggest driver for growth in books in India, and we wanted to play a role where we could enable the book printer or the whole publishing, printing community to produce books well and on time and the most cost-effective way.
Sure.
So everything that we do, we put that first. Everything that we develop, we put the customer first.
Yep.
We are very far away from the real consumer of our services, which is a student who is reading a book.
Yep.
We cannot understand what he or she needs to do, but we know that most of our children need books to be delivered closer
Yep.
to as free, I mean as cost effective as possible.
Correct.
So we have been working towards systems that would enable this whole process to happen, and we should also say that since we teamed up with a globally large manufacturer of adhesives like Henkel,
Yeah.
we could even introduce the best in class products at the most reasonable prices for the whole ecosystem.
Sure.
So whatever we have been doing since the beginning, it's the same.
Yeah.
But it's only that the way books are made have changed. So we are adapting to these kind of changes and also trying to lead some of these changes for the future.
Sure, sure. No, makes sense. Again, I mean, you're being very humble about your role, because there are two things I think that have happened looking at what you've done over the last 2 decades is that typically the emphasis used to be on the front part of the, the factory, which is the press. You've, I won't say de-emphasized that, but you've also started sort of underlying the fact that, the post press is more important, number one, and or probably equally important. And then secondly, how to do it, because I think a lot of book factory CEOs were struggling with how to, handle that. One was everybody knew there was a problem, but they didn't necessarily have an Indian solution for it. So again, if you can share, what that part of the journey was, because you were obviously, in addition to the machinery, the solutions, there was a lot of learning and education and hand-holding that you did quite effectively.
So I mean, I think when we started selling our machines in early 90s, we realized that we are selling these machines mostly to very unorganized kind of team. So we internally say these are the Khairani roads of Mumbai and Shadra of Delhi.
Yeah.
Where if you go, I mean, it's done in a very small kind of a place. Many cases they did not have three-phase connections.
Correct.
We had machines which needed them, and stabilized power has been always a problem. They do not have trained operators. They were not aware of mechanized operations to build machines. Most of their operations were manual. So working with them gave us the biggest happiness and learning. And when we looked at them in the beginning, I mean, the way books were made earlier, except for very few integrated houses, like, I mean, you had the Thompsons and Manipal, all of them were there in those earlier days. But if you really look at the publishing industry, was the publisher buys the paper, supplies it to a printer, and the printer only does the printing, and it gets shipped to a binder, and the binder does the book binding and then sends it back to the publisher. There were a lot of I mean, this was also because of capacity issues. This was also because the printer did not want to become a binder. The binder did not have enough money to invest in a printing machine. These were also concerns. And I think it was Gobson's which introduced first in, I think, way back in 96 or 97. We will also do it including the paper. So then the game started shifting, saying that we can do everything in-house kind of thing. So working with the small printers or small book binders have been always our strength. And their service requirements are huge, but they are the ones who appreciate if you do take care of them well, and many of them have grown. So along with them, we also grew.
Correct.
So whenever we look at a customer issue and then say that, we will not say that you had a poor power connection, you had an operator who was unskilled. We'll never put the blame on them. We used to say, let's do it right this time, and then sit down with them and tell them why it went wrong in the first case.
Sure.
So that helped a lot. And today, if you look at it, they have all grown to be the bigger book printers.
No, absolutely. So one staggering number we've received is again a book printer in Jhansi. He has executed a single order of printing and supplying 5,46,55,760 textbooks. This is staggering. I mean, there would be a time when the printing part of it, as you said, would be done quite easily. But then, so I mean, obviously there are two things. One is a solid post press, and secondly, you've reduced the learning curve for a lot of these people. Correct?
Yes,
Would that be
yes.
a fair assessment?
Yes, I mean, I think you must be definitely talking about states like Uttar Pradesh,
Yep.
where there are larger orders given to a printer. We have a customer in Kolkata who prints 10 crore books.
Yes.
So these numbers, but it's not done the same way as it would be done either in Europe or
Of course.
America.
Yeah.
There's a completely different system of doing this, where there is always, I mean, which is a very interesting thing to note. It's not like because book printing has now gone in from maybe 7-8 months to maybe 3-4 months kind of thing, because you need to finish books and you have capacities, you can do it faster and things like that. So you don't want to invest everything yourself upfront. So you have contracting partners, you have printer partners, you have contractors who would come and work in your premises.
Sure.
So all those things have been evolving on the backdrop. So because otherwise it's not very easy to take care of such a huge volume of books in a very short period of time, and also ensure that your other clients are not
dissatisfied,
getting delayed books at that point.
Yeah.
So I think the whole system of how to deliver books have evolved over a period of time, giving these kind of huge capacities. Yes, the machines have become faster. They can change over from one job to another job easier. The people know how to take the best out of these machines. So all those things have happened parallelly.
True.
But I think I'll give the credit to the whole ecosystem for how they have evolved with the changing need of.
Also, that thought, about Europe, and I mean, I don't want to again make this an us versus them thing, but what would be the obvious things? I mean, was the process always sort of over-engineered, over-mechanized, too many bells and whistles? And have you guys sort of made it more nimble, more deft, and smarter in that sense? And like you said, accommodate the working conditions for book printing plants in Africa, in sort of Central Asia, in India as well. Would that be the sort of key?
I think we must have played a role knowingly or unknowingly, because the market needed that.
Of course,
The customer always wanted a machine which is capable of doing everything they want to do.
Correct.
Available at the most reasonable pricing kind of thing. So we have always worked on those kind of volumes.
Sure.
We could do that basically because the demand in India is huge in terms of numbers. If we don't focus only on your gross margins and then focus on the number of customers that you can acquire in a year, which most of the companies do that today in the kind of new types of market developments that you see. Every business is trying to acquire a customer. So we had the same thoughts in the beginning. Let's not look at per machine kind of margin. Let's look at more customers coming to us. So that helped us make machines which are very easy to operate, very easy on its energy consumptions, can handle the power fluctuations to a major level, and also the operators got trained on them and things like that. So there is definitely and these are if you look at a range of machines that we make, they are basic for making the kind of books what they are supposed to do.
Correct.
It may not have all the bells and whistles as you put for doing many other things.
Sure.
But then we also made such machines. So in this evolution, as we come across what we present in Drupa, what we will discuss later. So that has helped us saying that we need to make some level of customization.
Of course.
Whether if it's for mass consumption or whether it is for a very kind of boutique kind of requirements. So that, I mean, the customer teaches you or the market teaches you is the way we take it.
So the other thing that I wanted to also ask you is that, I mean, you've been a sort of fairly keen student of, watching the numbers. And I mean, that's the elephant in the room about printed books. Everybody talks about it, the death of the book, etc. And briefly, I think in 2020, there was that phase when everybody just said, we told you so kind of a thing. And then, of course, what has happened since then has been astounding and staggering. The numbers have just been phenomenal for books, not just in India, but world over. What I want to know is, what is your reports? I mean, you obviously work with, big players like Henkel, you're working with a lot of publishing partners, etc. What are your reports suggesting? Because we also want to get it out there that that books are here to stay, and the numbers are healthy, and also a lot of young demographics which are consuming books, in addition to, of course, students.
Yeah.
So if you can just share a little bit
So
about
globally, the biggest threat to books, as that was perceived, was Amazon's Kindle.
Correct.
And I think 2008 or something it was introduced, and it got introduced in India in 2012.
Yep.
So that was the time we also thought we should get into some of the business. I mean, there was so much of hype around it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then what happened? So and education has been always you could do with the books. You could also go to a computer and download something, or you have an online presence. It's not a new thing.
Sure.
Universities have been doing that for ages. Now it's become easier. That's the only way. What happened after that was, I mean, what Amazon Kindle probably tried to do to the what we call as a trade part of the books is the non-fiction and fiction.
Sure.
It said you don't need to carry so many books on a travel. You don't need to have so many books kept in your shelves. Why not download them? So it never went against books per se. I mean, it only said that you read, but in a different format.
Correct.
We have audio books now, so it's another format.
Yep.
So what publishers realized is Amazon brought in more people to read books.
Yep. Yep.
Books in the sense, e-books.
Yep.
And someone then picked up a physical book.
Yep.
Someone started thinking, why not write a book? Someone said, why not gift a book?
Yep.
So all that kind of things, it set the ball rolling as far as readership or the reading of book as a hobby is concerned. Actually, it helped.
Yep. Yep.
So though there were a huge drop in sales of physical printed books post 2010, it kept on happening.
Yep.
Now, if you see globally, there is a graph is going up.
Yep.
And it really went up during the COVID period when people didn't have much to do and they were sitting at home and reading books.
Yep.
And at that point of time, then you had the education moving online. Most of the students used computers to communicate with their teachers or online education.
Yep. Yep.
But then it came back with a bang because actually during the pandemic, the children lost out. I mean, mixing with others and then not meeting people physically and things like that. So then the books came back into. Now the millennial parents also don't want their kids to go into the digital devices. They want their children to read books, tell a story. If you don't read a book to your child, he or she is not going to start reading it. So a lot of things are happening, but I think it's been a, I would, if you want to call book as a device, it has been there for centuries. So it's not very easy to make it go away. But we never expected this kind of a growth and the transformation that is taking now. So if you look at number of books printed globally today will be definitely more than what it was in 2010.
Sure.
But the titles have exponentially grown. So there are more authors, more people writing, and that's growing the market. But earlier we used to
cycles.
Earlier used to have 1 million copies, 100,000. I mean, after Shades of Grey or Harry Potter, I don't think there has been any book which has gone into that kind of level. So the numbers of books printed on what we call as a run. So first time you decide only 5,000 books are needed.
Correct.
That's a run. That has come down.
Sure.
But the number of titles have gone up. So what we needed to do as not just us, all the book binding machine manufacturers, was to turn around this faster. So it's actually good growth. And if you look at it, a lot of competition in the book printing market also has gone down. A lot of very large corporations, we don't see them anymore. Donnellys of the world, I mean, you don't see them.
That's true.
So there are small printers who stuck on book printing have grown substantially. And India is one example.
So again, just a number for our viewers is that the India book market report of 2022 pegs the market size, print book market size, at 98,920 crores, which again is a 12 months old data. And So 10 years ago, as what you were alluding to, it was 30,000 crores.
Yeah.
So that's significant. And fortunately or unfortunately, our industry has not sort of adequately given as much of importance to books, say, as some of the other sectors, packaging, corrugation boxes, etc.
Sometimes it's good to not get noticed, you know. I mean,
All right, all right.
be under the radar and
Yeah, yeah. A couple of things. One is you mentioned the fact that, you know, a lot of the big daddies have, I will not say vanished, but they have become a little more low-key. So does that put a lot more pressure on Bindwel? Also, what is happening in, say, in terms of the pre-owned segment, because India used to be significantly a pre-owned segment market, and, you know, because for entry level you invest in that, etc. So two questions really. Would Bindwel now be positioned to take on the big daddies in the market? And then also, what's happening with the pre-owned? And this is not just for India, but also some of the other segments, sectors where you're exporting, Africa, North Africa, you know, Asia, so on. Yeah.
So pre-owned machines are basically not a machine made for you. It was made for somebody else.
That's true.
In the past,
Yeah.
the requirements were different.
Yeah.
The requirements were when you needed to make 100,000 copies in a day.
Yep.
You still need to make 100,000 copies today with maybe 20 changeovers.
Yep.
So that has changed.
Yep.
And these machines come with more energy consumption, more space consumed.
Yep.
And requirements for maintenance are likely to be more because they have been already used for. So the efficiency with which you produce your book, the reliability that machines have, or what you can promise your customer, saying that, because most of the books have a definite target for, you know, to be delivered and so on, so many days kind of thing. So you can't miss your dates. So this is what is causing the problem today. So then what they do is they will buy one more machine to use it as a backup. So what we are now looking at is this we are seeing in India. It has not been a major issue for us. I mean, if you look at it, there are hardly any used equipment in bookbinding being imported into India because we are already here with a major presence. Countries like Africa, wherever we got some breakthroughs in the last couple of years, we are seeing that older European machines have been replaced with our solutions. And what we provide them is more or less what they need. So
this would be what, fully automated lines, or?
So it changes. So I'll take classic example of two comparisons. One is a Morocco-based customer who wanted a fully automated system because they had more and a speed of at least 5,000 books per hour kind of thing. So their requirement was such, and then we have a customer in Angola who said we don't want to produce more than 20,000 because that is our plant capacity going to be, and that's a country that we are targeting it. So the needs change from place to place. Somewhere they don't need too much of changeovers or from some book to another book.
Right.
In some cases, it's already predefined that these are the types of books that I'm going to do. So we have solutions for all of them.
Sure. And your definition of an automated line typically would be what? I mean, just.
So that's where if you either read a QR code and the machine completely sets.
Right.
Starting from gathering to the three-knife trimmer. And then you will always see, because bookbinding the way it is, if you look at the bookbinding line, you have the gathering machine where signatures are gathered in sequence, and then you have a binder, which is a completely different animal. You have the clamping, milling, gluing. So somewhere where paper is sequenced, and then the only one part of that sheets are processed across the binder where the cover is attached.
Correct.
And then it moves through a conveyor and then goes into a trimmer where it is trimmed. So these are, if you look at, that's what we used to say, that when we manufacture, we say we have something like 10,000 different components in our inventory at any given point of time.
Yes.
And if we were to manufacture all these things, we'll need multiple football fields in order to have those kind of machines. So it's complex that. The gatherer has nothing in common with the binder, it has got nothing in common with the conveyor and the three-knife trimmer. So even if you are talking about automation, it's not possible to have the same flow across.
Yep.
There are going to be
Right.
gaps. So either the gatherer speed has to go down in order to match the binder or trimmer or things like that. So it's always. But when it comes to educational books, our feeling is that we could move towards more streamlined manufacturing or standardized
Set
production.
formats, yeah. But what's interesting is you mentioned this 10,000 components, and it's only when, on visiting your factory on innumerable occasions now one has got that sense. And some of the things that you've been sort of, highlighting right now, you've actually practiced all that. It's not as if you're practicing one thing and, preaching something totally different. And it's quite a tiny factory in a real sense.
Absolutely.
And number one. And number two is that it's magnificent as to how you've, in a way, Uberized manufacturing in a way by outsourcing. And third is, of course, just the average age of your team, which is probably what, 25, 30 on an average.
Maybe
I think
25,
you're probably
26.
the only geriatric. So if you can just quickly share for us, because I think it's important learning. I mean, a visit to your factory is kind of an eye-opener, that without compromising the standards that traditionally are important for bookbinding, what you've been able to do in terms of transforming the manufacturing process.
So, I mean, we could learn from many other industries like automobile.
True.
I mean, in the initial trend has been that you need to have everything starting from a foundry to a machine shop in order to make a machine.
Yep.
But I wanted to challenge that you look at the best form of best form of mechanical engineering is a product which is coming out of an automobile industry.
Yep.
They don't make even a nut or a bolt. I mean, everything comes to assembly.
Yep.
So you start with your concept, which is based on the customer requirement or your own thinking in terms of where you want to take the customer.
Sure.
Both are innovation.
Yep.
Then you sit down and create your design. Drawings are made.
Yep.
Then you have your engineering team assessing this and saying that should this component be made this way, or can I take something out of the library which I already have?
Yep.
What is the right material for this? What is the kind of processing that is required for it? Who is my best vendor partner who can do this job for you?
Yep.
So these things are done in the engineering part, and then the sourcing team starts going to your manufacturing partners.
Yep.
So we have in Peenya and Coimbatore roughly about 120 supply partners who do components for us, and each one is picked basically because of their strength in that.
Correct.
So you go to a person who's supplying to, let's say, Bengaluru has a lot of industries related to aerospace as well as machine manufacturing, like some of the global woodworking machine manufacturers are based in Bangalore.
Right.
So we would know what is the kind of component used by them, and then we pick them by that.
Yep.
So they already, and they teach us something. I mean, it's not like always you tell them what to do.
True.
And
So such as what? I mean, this would be what? Accuracy, precision, metal fatigue, those kind of things, or?
accuracy and precision goes without saying.
Right.
It is also the best way to make a component. So our engineering team will say that you need to take this this shaft and then bring it down to this.
Right.
And sometimes they will come back and say that what is available in the market is a different shaft.
Sure.
Different diameter.
Nice.
So can you do something on the basis so that we don't remove? There is sustainability all across. I mean, why are you wanting to shave off so much of iron and then? So it's cost to all of them. It's time to them. It's cost to us in per kg basis. We don't get that money when you go and sell.
Yep.
So these kind of discussions happen with the partners, and then they will say that if you can do this, then probably we can bring down the machine time a little lower, which means I can get the part faster, and they'll also bring down the cost.
Correct. So one of my, it has got nothing to do with the industry, but one of my favorite examples is a man I admire greatly called Shakespeare, and obviously a genius of his time, but you realize that he never hung around only with his own people. He was hanging around with poets and thinkers and academics, etc. And then, of course, understanding the inefficiencies which are there in the playwriting tradition, and then therefore, so the question for you would be, are there sort of inherent inefficiencies which you're trying to identify through this process, which is in a way slightly out of the box, that you're looking at these inefficiencies in the system which might have crept in, without us, willy-nilly being aware of it. And now you're gradually weeding it out because you're looking at it from a fresh perspective. Would that be the case?
Always try to learn something new.
Correct.
And then be willing to change.
Right. Nice.
So then what we see is whether it's inefficiency or
yeah.
There will be always a better way of doing things.
True. And the other very nice thing is, of course, with my very amateur eye, what I realize is that it's always the small things that your team is looking out for, little tweaks to the system. So again, those are for me very interesting. I mean, normally when we walk into any manufacturing plant, we are always looking at the big picture, the big machinery and the big staggering. But here is always the tiny little things, the A, B, C, D, the tiny tweaks in the system which you all are doing, small nuts and bolts, and you're obviously paying a lot of attention to those things.
So one of the major advantages that we had was we had people working close to the customer in the factory now.
Yeah.
So they have realized what the operator faces as a challenge. So for any reason, he or she has to switch off the machine for something to be cleaned, to spray maybe something so that the adhesive doesn't stick to that.
Yep.
All that kind of issues are seen by our team. So constantly we look at, these are the 10 things the operator finds as a problem in our machine. How can we change that?
Yeah.
So this has, if you look at most of the advancements that we have done, is looking at it from the angle of operator, who is also a customer to us.
Correct.
If that can be done easier by them, which helps our customer finally. So those things need to be, that detailing is important.
Right.
So within our team we have, so there is a design team which takes care of requirements from the market to be developed.
Yep.
And there is an innovation team which thinks what, even if the customer has not complained about it, can we find something, make his or her life easier by giving something. So the thought process has been how to reduce space, how to reduce energy, how to reduce time needed for any activity, like maintenance or cleaning up, and to increase. One thing which we always kept emphasizing is on safety. Many of our customers or many of our operators still do not use all the features in our machine. It's always been our request, please use these features which are provided.
Such as what kind?
It's like, if you look at most of our machines comes with a hood.
Yes.
And when I go and see the machines in either Dubai or Kenya, the hoods are seen. In other cases, it's like, tied together.
Correct.
But we will not create a machine like, it's like sending out a car without a seat belt. We will not do it.
Correct. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. That brings us to Drupa. I know we are, 2 fortnights away from Drupa now, and your stand at Drupa has the theme Spectrum of Innovation, and you're going to be introducing as Bindwel Stelda 3 concepts. So if you can share with us what these 3, because 3 absolutely sort of, exclusive kind of products in your portfolio.
So something great that has happened to us in the post-COVID is a gentleman called as Kai Buntemeyer joining our board.
Sure.
So Buntemeyer is known in the global industry as an engineer who's built up large companies like Colbus, turned around many other companies, and his interactions with the global print audience has been huge. He's got a huge wealth of understanding why someone sitting in Japan does it this way and not someone in Korea does the same way, and to the extent of which are the markets to be looked at. So whenever we speak about global reach, he says the globe is coming to India. So and think about what you guys can do sitting in your market, which can be extended to the global market.
So before you march on, I want to know how you met Mr. Kai, and because you seem to have this uncanny knack of finding talent in remote corners of the planet. So if you can, because that's also kind of interesting.
Something I've always respected people who have done well or done things differently, and always try to go with all the humility to talk to them, irrespective of the fact that there was no business opportunity. So I think all the Drupas and IPEXs I went to, always visited the booth of Colbus.
Of course.
In the beginning, probably I was not able to access managing director of the, but finally it came down to, and then we also have traveled and seen their magnificent factory in Radhan. So he came out as a gentleman who understands machine building, engineering, also understands what the book industry needs in the future. But comes with a very different approach compared to what he says as the European manufacturers think in terms of we need to customize things based on what the customer is willing to pay, the end customer. And should not push down customization into somebody's field, which could become a very inefficient kind of way of managing things in the future. So he was the one to give us a clarity in terms of that the world is moving in different directions as far as books is concerned. One is you have the digital print, which within that you have the digital print shops, which are like your Xerox shops, what you see near the railway station. You need a solution for that. So then we came out with a different sub-brand to Bindwel called a Siglock. So we have small single clamp binders being sold there. We will also come out with more products which would replace what is the current requirement, which will meet the requirements in the current market. Then from there, he said that there is something called a short run digital printing.
Of course.
So you have the inkjet printing coming into that, from maybe 50 books to 1,000 books or 1,500 books. These have become a viable model in comparison to offset printing. So we have a slew of products made for them. Again, it's book binding. And then we have the commercial printers who would want to do this and that, and also maybe in exports print some textbooks. So we have a range of products developed for them. And then the largest segment, which is the textbooks, whether it is India, Africa, or even countries like Indonesia, where you have a young population wanting to read books. You need to have what he called as customized massification, which means a luxury product to be made available to the masses. So all these things are different blocks. So in order to what do you call meet each specific demand, you could have a machine which does everything.
That's true.
Which will be a killer. Like they will be sitting with a machine which is not actually required by them. Even 20% of the jobs that they do, they might be doing capability of the machine will be only used to maybe about 20% kind. So we put ourselves into different blocks. So Siglock is completely different. Siglock is for a different market altogether, which is on digital printing, post press, and very short run kind of printing. And then within the Bindwel range, what we are presenting for Drupa is a one book model, which is meant for the books on demand. As you order a book on any of the e-commerce.
This will be the Siglosh.
No, that's a Bindwel kind of thing. So books on demand, we are not putting it with. So though it is digital print, it's a different business model altogether. It requires the full back end of your systems, hosting all the.
So it would be like a Repro or a Manipal having this in-house, and in addition to their other app, and so that it doesn't in a way be detrimental to those machines. Got it.
And it could go to a way of, if you imagine that if you order for a book in Bengaluru and you want you want the delivery the same day. Unless the books on demand player sits in Bengaluru, it's not possible. So many of these companies would have a demand coming up from smaller centers.
Makes sense.
It's like fulfillment centers based out of different locations.
So maximizing the technology, very nice.
So books on demand is somewhere we were doing a lot of research, and most of that happened during the COVID period.
Of course.
When the sales weren't that great, so you sit down and then make new machines, new developments.
Nice.
And so that helped us come out with what we call as Insta,
Okay.
Books on Demand, which will take its launch in Drupa.
Okay.
We are hopeful that it addresses almost all the requirements of the market, whether it's being connected to a complete line system of postpress or print that they have.
Sure.
Reading from any kind of files and QR codes, and then setting. So it typically gives you 1,000 books per hour, but each book is a different book.
Nice.
It also has checking of consistency between the book block and the cover. So
Nice.
all that part is.
Yeah.
So that's one part of it.
Yep.
And the second block that we talk about is Mr. Buntemeyer's baby. It's his idea, saying making a machine which is akin to the processing lines in FMCG, this thing. So where if you look at an edible oil manufacturer or a soap manufacturer, they will have lines which will probably handle 1 liter and 2 liter in one line. And then you have a different one for 5 liter and different one for 10 liter cans and things like that. Their idea was, as long as you keep minimal SKU variations within a line, you can automate it highly. You can make it as efficient as possible with minimal number of complexities related to either the electronics or the mechanical parts.
Nice. Very clever.
So he said, why not in textbooks?
Yep. Yep.
So then he mooted this idea to us, and then we said, most of the books made in India or in Africa range within a familiar range, because most of them are printed using web offset printer.
Sure.
And web offsets are limited by the
Sizes,
circumference or the cutoff. So it starts from 508 to 578
Correct.
cutoff. So you have various ranges within that.
Yep.
And most of the books look like A4, though it's not exactly A4.
True.
So if you look at it, 25 centimeter to 29 centimeter length is the kind of journey that you have.
Sure.
And you have roughly about 1.25 to 1.3 kind of an aspect ratio to take care of your width.
Correct.
So books remaining in that space, why not make a machine which would take care of the most popular formats within the standard of textbooks, and then create a very efficient line, which will be faster, which will have less.
Just hold the thought. So three things. One is, because this is a lot of information download. So concept is very sort of path breaking. One was, how long ago did he moot it? And then in terms of blueprints, how long did you take? And third is, in terms of engineering or re-engineering, do you need to do a systemic transformation?
So the biggest challenge we had when he said this, which he also had in mind,
Right.
is we are proposing extreme standardization.
Got it.
And so when I said, will standardization be looked at as a sort of limitation by the limiting factor?
And you're controlling it, yeah.
Limiting factor. Then, I mean, he spent a lot of time telling us. He said, Sajith, learn from the digital print industry. If you look at most of the books in the digital are A4 now.
Correct.
They cannot have, I've gone to the trade book leaders like Thomson Press and Replica Press.
Yeah.
If you look at their large warehouses keeping different formats of paper and different, but that's their strength. That's also needed for something like a book which is sold as a consumer product in the market.
Got it.
Why textbooks? Textbooks are bought for its content.
Yeah.
So if content being the important thing, key, and also the requirement to keep the book as economical as possible is concerned.
Sure.
I said the whole ecosystem should evolve around that.
Got it.
So digital printing has already gone towards it. So the idea was mooted about 3 years back.
Nice.
He also got more clarity as we discussed these things, and then he visited us last year. We were also in our Bengaluru factory. So that was the time he sat down with the designers to clearly suggest what are the things needed to be done on the machine. There was some back and forth. I think we did it pretty quick because we are gifted to have a team which has a huge experience in designing bookbinding machines.
Yeah.
It's not any designer. So
of course.
And very senior players in the team.
Yeah.
So though all of us had a sort of apprehension in the beginning, saying that are we actually going to present something is limiting, we realized that that is when he started saying that, look at the FMCGs, look at what they are doing. So he had this, must have had this concept clear very long ago in his mind. And he said that it will only be an Indian manufacturer who can do it. So that is what, prompted us to.
Why is that? Because
Says,
I mean,
that's the market you are dealing with.
Okay.
You cannot have a European machinery manufacturer thinking that I need
be
to
sensitized to this, right? Got it. So, and is this also, you're seeing that in terms of Africa, because you're dealing with a lot of the textbook bureaus?
No, we feel it could be true for any country.
Right,
Whatever textbooks are made, if you can give them a textbook or book binding processing line instead of a book binding machine, you have more unison between the different modules of machines as compared to the regular ones.
Got it.
You require less bells and whistles in terms of whatever are the parts which are going into this. So when we sat down and then made the concept itself, we were excited, and we will be showing one module in Drupa, which is basically the conveyor. The way the books are conveyed will be completely changed now. So we have gone, and which you will see this in our promos as well as in Drupa. And the trimmer. The trimmer is where generally when you change from one size to another, a lot of changes need to be done.
Of course.
But within this range, we have made the trimmer not needing any kind of changeover.
Sure.
So that is the second part which we call as ACOM, basically because it's unification.
That's the brand name, ACOM.
Yeah, that's the brand
nice.
It's moving towards standardization.
Yeah.
And the third segment is what we call as freedom, which can do either very short runs or could also do long runs. So typically a commercial printer who wants to have the freedom of addressing any customer, you have that line.
Got it. So Insta, ACOM and freedom. Nice. And just to sort of come back to something you said earlier about customized massification, what does that mean? I mean, it sounded...
So if you have, I mean, the massification is a word used when you want to say you want to make a luxury product available for the masses.
Correct.
So here it's saying you have a book which is probably luxury because it is made using a very complex machine, costing you more money to produce it.
Sure.
Why not develop a concept which would ensure that the machine itself is brought down to a very kind of a standardized delivery model.
Right.
And then your costs of energy, space. I mean, what we saw was the space is coming down by something like 50%.
Wow. That's huge.
Energy, there is a huge saving in energy. Number of components come down by 15%, which means definitely your cost of maintenance is going to come down. So these are the benefits. The disadvantage is that if someone comes and says, I want to do a pocket dictionary using the same machine, no, it will not do it.
Right. And then how much of this customization, I mean, obviously you've done beta trials, etc. And I mean, if there's any feedback, and how much of it do you think is getting appreciated? I mean, there's always this, thing about customization for the sake of customization and,
So, I mean, unless you get the value for customization, it does not help our customer. So, the customer gets the value in terms of reduced space. Country like India and Africa are challenged with space.
Right, and streamlining, which seems to be huge.
So, I think as far as the concept as a business model is yet to be tried out. But we know, I mean, whatever numbers you took about
98,000 crores,
So those are the printers. Most of the textbook printers in India are ready market for this.
That's true. And what do you think will be the requirement from the operator end? Will it be sort of rebooting in terms of learning curve, knowledge, etc., or it will just be simplification of the process?
As far as ACOM is concerned, it is simplification.
Okay.
But when they move from, let's say, a system like that to a one-book model, there's a lot of learning in that.
And acceptance from publishers? Because bureaus, as you know, in India, that's a tough one to handle, right? Especially formats and all that.
As long as it is more efficient and more cost effective, I do not see any kind of
resistance.
Protest from them.
Protest is a good word, yeah. And then for this, I find this thing very interesting, and I'll take you up on this FMCG versus bookbinding.
Yeah.
But is automation truly possible to that extent because of the nature of the beast in the FMCG line? I mean, you've obviously with Stelda done a lot of work on the ground. Yeah. What's happening there seems to be, in a way, I mean, two different sort of industries, and habits are also very different, right?
So FMCG lines have a leading brand could have few lines of different sizes catering to the closest market.
Sure, sure.
So they would do some plant in, let's say, Pune to address the western region market, and something else somewhere. So they have that benefits. I'm sure we don't have that benefit when it comes to textbooks. But we are not limiting when it comes to, so if you look at it, if I'm correct, there are no A5 size books for textbooks made in India anymore.
That's true.
Maharashtra used to be one of
the sectors,
one of the biggest producers of it.
Yeah.
So everything has moved into that web zone, which is between 508 to 578 kind of thing. So there is nothing limiting for it. And what we have seen is the people whom you quoted in terms of either educational publishers or textbook printers.
Sure.
They don't do all the types of jobs. They only do that.
Yep.
So they are specializing in saying that if West Bengal has a school opening from January to December, somewhere else it's from April to March. These are the kind of academic seasons that we are talking about.
Right.
So I will do focus on these months in this textbook corporation, then I'll go here and then I'll do this. So if so it is aligned absolutely to their business model.
Right.
I do not see except very few completely integrated print houses. I do not see someone like I know for example Manipal does both textbooks as well as the one book thing. They are very exceptional kind.
True.
And they will need two different machines for doing that very clearly. So other than these exceptions, we are getting ourselves aligned to their business model.
Right. Understand. But would this mean then that prior to making an investment in a web offset, I make my investment in my bindery line and then think about what press I need to, I mean the whole horse before the carriage kind of a thing, will that change?
No, it will not change. Because if you look at most of the textbook printers, if they, let's say if they're addressing two different shades, there might be a size difference. So it could be 560 and 578.
Got it.
546 and 570. So they already have these webs in place. Used as required kind of thing. Because the benefits offered by web offset is so huge. They do not mind keeping different web machines in their factory. I wish all the textbook corporations got together and said we'll all do one format. Because it saves a lot of wastage in this current scenario. But we could work towards that. But our mission is not limiting that now.
That's true. So again, just a scenario for you, a printer in Kolhapur who's sort of, a massive printer there who's catering to 7 states in India. Would he be having a very similar looking book factory in each of the states doing, with the investment in your bindery line? Would that how it will work?
This binder will work for all these
of these states, Nice. And again, just something that you mentioned, that getting all the textbook bureaus together. So, I mean, this is something that you've been trying to do for the last 10 to 15 years, beating the drum, which very few people are in a way listening. You, I think, did the conference in Trivandrum. That was, I think, almost 12 years ago. And then again, post-COVID. Is it time to sort of relook at that? I mean, one is, of course, what you're doing in terms of the machinery, the technology, etc. But the other thing which you're very passionate about, which is enlightening, educating the industry, and of course also now the other side of the fence, in a way, the publishers and the end consumer. Would you be thinking of doing something like that in terms of proving the point again that we do have something that has a semblance of a world-class infrastructure for book manufacturing? Is that
absolutely
time to revisit that idea, especially?
The need of the hour. What does a child needs? He or she needs the book to be delivered on time before the school begins.
Correct.
In a good format which is readable. And something which at least sustains for an year, so that it doesn't fall apart in between and creates a problem. So the focus should be on reducing all those wastages in the system. So if, for example, if let's say UP is the largest consumer of books,
Yeah, yeah,
why not align with UP for all the formats?
yeah,
Then there will be web widths of paper which is required, which will come into similar kind of formats,
yep,
similar cutoffs. Uh, this can help the paper manufacturers consolidate their manufacturing of paper.
sure, sure.
Plates and whatever you want to look at the variables in the web offset machines, you can reduce that.
Sure.
Even if we are giving an ACOM, there might be a slight change from one format to the another format to be done. But while as here throughout the year running and it's like an FMCG plant all throughout.
Yeah.
All these things are going to bring down cost drastically.
Yeah.
And remove all the wastages in between. It will also remove the cost driven which are due to changing over from one to another one, and make things easier, faster to be delivered. It will also be competitive for the textbook corporations.
Sure.
That if somebody is doing a UP jobs along with that to do a Jharkhand work, it could make it easier.
True. True.
And you will have more players competing, and so I think it's and it's what is important is the content.
Yes, of
And
course.
it's printed well.
Yeah.
And a binding which lasts through the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So focus on those bare necessities. This is not a luxury product. It has to be a product which is to be given a lot of thought.
Lot of thought to you. You know, it's very surprising you say that, because when I picked up a book for the first time in my life, I thought this is the most simple product on the planet, like a wheel, Once invented, it's done. Listening to you every time, I just am mind-boggled by the thing, that how complicated the process is, and not just complicated, how sophisticated it is, and I think we underestimate that. Anyway, just quickly, before we exit, from 20th May to 7th June, you're at Drupa, Bindwel is at Drupa, and do visit the Bindwel stall. Hall number 6, stand number B04. Sajith will definitely be there on all days, welcoming you in his trademark kurta. And of course, there will be chai and pakoras. Before I let you go, I have something fun for you. I hope it's fun. So that we also get to know the other non-mechanical, So this is like the flavor of the season. It's called the rapid fire. So bunch of questions with very quick answers. So you have to be quick-witted about this. So paperback, hardcover?
Paperback.
Paperback. Jnanpith, Nobel Prize, because you read so much here.
Tough one. Nobel Prize.
Nobel, okay. Drupa, Frankfurt Book Fair.
Drupa.
Drupa, okay. Hot melt, PUR.
Hot melt.
Hot melt, okay. Meeting a book printer or meeting a publisher?
Both.
Both. But most of your customers are publisher printers, So Gutenberg, Sennefelder. Gutenberg. Hardcover line, case maker.
Hardcover line.
Yeah, okay. Quality control, make ready.
Make ready.
Okay, why is that?
Make ready will ensure quality control has to be done.
Okay, all right. Supply chain, wastage.
I think both are linked.
Right.
Supply chain has to improve.
Yep. And weight checker, signature measurement or signature monitoring, as you have on your...
Weight checkers, signature, all of them are important.
Actually, I think I meant that other machine, the page pull test thing.
Okay,
page pull test.
Page pull tester. Page pull tester.
Really? Why is that? Because I know that you lay a great amount of emphasis in that.
So that will help you understand how strong is the book. Is the process been really followed through? Is the coating of adhesive right? And ensure that the book does not fail in the market. And signature recognition is a process which will ensure that there are no multiple pages or missing pages.
Of course,
but that could, to a certain level, could be done using some kind of semi-automatic manual processes also.
Interesting happening in adhesives. I know you've been like tracking what's transpiring, but again, something that we should be aware of, because you do work a lot with most of the...
we had PUR before, going from the ethylene vinyl acetate based adhesives, from EVA to PUR. Now there are something called as POs, which is polyolefins. Unfortunately, whatever happens in adhesive, Bookbinding is the last sector where it gets
impacts, yeah.
implemented.
Yeah.
It will take its time.
Sure,
So hopefully.
sure, yeah. One challenging project, I mean, you've mentioned two, but one challenging project that you sort of undertook, Bindwel, it could be an installation or it could just be creation of a machine or?
I think one of the biggest challenging projects which is basically Drupa now. That
Getting
is
the
on top
machines
of-
up and
it
running,
is
yeah,
on,
yeah,
on
yeah.
top of my mind.
Right.
So many things to be done.
Yeah, right.
It's a global exhibition.
Yeah.
We need to.
Would you be the only bindery manufacturer at Drupa? I mean, MBO might be there, but they are now again
Oh,
grouped.
no, you have a
Duplo is
lot
there,
of
yeah.
Japanese
Yeah, yeah.
and European,
one or
and
two Italians,
Chinese,
yeah,
and
Chinese,
Japanese
yeah.
manufacturers.
Right, right. And of course, two questions. One is music riyaz or book riyaz?
Music riyaz, I am not getting time.
Right.
More of-
Anyway, for those of you who are not aware, you can hold a fairly decent kalichar, correct? Would that be fair to say? Yeah. Yeah. And bhoop or bhim palasi, which is your preferred rag?
Vimbalasi.
Bhim palasi. Okay. Hopefully, after 7th of June, you'll have time to come back
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Bhim palasi. So, signing off from the PrintWeek Studio with Sajith. Do visit the Bindwel stall at Drupa, hall number 6, stand number B04. Thank you. Over and out. Over off Widerhausen.